Hey there, this is Tiff here. In the next 2 sessions, that's right, this podcast episode and video, if you're watching by video, and the following one is all going to be about goal setting for 2025. You don't want to miss this one, so let's get to it and I'll be with you shortly. Hey there, Tiff here from Ambition Habits. So lovely to see you here today from wherever you are. Big thing that we're going to be working on over these next 2 sessions or podcast episodes is we're really going to be working on setting our goals, like planning for 2025. And the reason for that is like I find it's like a recipe. You know, like you've got a recipe in place and you know what the ingredients are, and then you put the ingredients are in the right amounts and you mix it all together and you create this beautiful recipe of an enjoyable dinner. So this is how we want to be looking at our goals for 2025, is like we're going to put our recipe together on what we want to do in how we're going to make 2025 your best year yet. And I know it sounds a bit cliche because everyone says, you know, for every year your best year yet. But what we want to be thinking about is like every year that we come into is we want to make it better and better, don't we? Absolutely. We want even last year, the year before, this year to be better than the previous years, right? So we want to be keeping on growing, we want to keep on expanding, we want to keep on evolving and having an absolutely incredible life. So in order to do that, we need to have a direction, a path in where we want to go. So that's what we're going to be working on these next 2 podcast episodes. So I'm really looking forward to sharing that with you. So in this episode today, what we're going to be really focusing on is looking back, finishing the old chapter, so to speak. And what we're doing is we're looking back at 2024 and looking back at the great things that happened in 2024, some challenges that happened in 2024, and what we want to be doing in utilising that information that we gather in how we're going to be moving like forward and upward into 2025 and getting those results that we'd really like to achieve for this year. So what we're going to be doing now is we're actually going to be working through a series of questions on 2024, our previous year, looking back and reflecting. I like to call it a reflection time. And we actually want to look back, have a look at how the year went, get some feedback, because everything that we do, good or bad, is feedback. So we want to get that feedback, and so that we have, you know, an idea of what we want to do moving forward. So sometimes it's good to look back because then it gives us that feedback that we need in what we want to do moving forward. So are you ready? Because I'm ready to get started with you. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to be working through a few questions. There's about 7 questions that we're going to go through just in reflection. It won't take too long to go through this. I'm going to share a question with you. I'm going to share some information, what I discovered about me, just so that you have an idea of what you can write about and have a think about, and then you can get on your way and then get to it. So here we go. Question number 1. Describe the highlights of your year. So you can do it like in all sorts of different ways. You can put some music on and have a think about what happened last year. You might have some a journal from last year that you could reflect on. You could go through your camera and, you know, scroll through the camera and look at the pictures of things that you happened. You could jump on, you know, one of the social media sites and have a look what you got up to if you don't remember. But the thing is you want to be looking at all the good stuff that happened last year. And we want to do that because we want to feel good about, like, yeah, we had some great things happen last year, and it's really, really good to reflect upon that. So I'm just going to give you a few examples of mine. So end of last year, big highlight for me, well actually last year anyway, big highlight for me was I actually discovered a game called lawn bowls. Who would have thought at the age of 54 that I'd be playing lawn bowls? I thought I'd be taking it up when I'm about 74. But friends of ours, very close friends of ours, introduced us to the game. last year, and I went, oh my goodness, I think I could get really good at this game. And I just loved it from the first go. And it was purely because I'm a ball sports girl. So I love playing ball sports. I love that hand-eye coordination. I love technique. Of course, I've been a tennis coach, I'm a golf coach, and I'm, a sports coach. So of course I'm going to love all that stuff. So I've delved in really deeply, and the great thing that's come out of that is I'm so inspired and motivated that I've actually entered into the Australian Open for the middle of this year. So what a highlight that is. That's a massive highlight for me because it's given me purpose, drive, something to work towards, and I can't wait to get up in the morning and get out there and accomplish my goals. So some other highlights that happened, I took some time out last year from teaching full time, which is a really good move. Created space in my life so I could figure out what it was that I wanted to do moving forward in life, pretty much. Also in business, spend more time with my husband. Hadn't spent a lot of time with him. I've always been too busy working and so on. And because I'd been working so hard, especially the last few years, I had a lot of golf tours on. I was teaching full time, and I just had no time for, our home, our family, building any relationships or any friendships. And I didn't really realise how much I missed out on that. But the highlight for that was that I actually took the time out and got to really get to know me again and get to figure out what it was that I wanted to do moving forward. So another great highlight out of taking that space, was I got to create ambition habits, which is what, the rebranding of what you're hearing now is all about ambition habits and helping build confidence in women in sport so that they can go out there and accomplish their dreams and in their sport. And it really doesn't matter if, they're playing local competition or, a state level, national, international level, whatever level it is, even socially. If you just want to play better and you want to be more confident in your sport that you're playing, and it doesn't matter what the sport is, then, I'm here to help in every way. Fitness, mental, and the nutrition side of things. So I'm really looking forward to sharing that with you over the time. Another great highlight, which I really didn't realise until I actually started going through this process, was I made some new friends. I can't tell you how long it's been since I've actually built new friendships. Because of what I do, and I work with a lot of people, I'm always out socialising anyway. Well, that's what I think, because that's what I do for work. I'm building relationships with people, getting to know people, getting to know who they are, and then going on the golf tours, I'm going out with all these lovely people and getting to know them. And so I looked at that I was relationship building, and that's true, that's what I was doing, but I actually wasn't really building friendships, and I didn't realise how important that was. So that was a huge highlight for me throughout 2024, was that I actually started to build friendships again with people, and I could just be me. I didn't have to be Tiff, the lady golf teacher, or Tiff from Ambition Habits, or Tiff from anything else. I could just be Tiff, and I found like that was a huge, huge highlight. And then there's other things, spending a lot more time with family, spending a lot more time with my husband, doing some great things, going camping, doing all the things that I had never got a chance to really do because I spent my life working. So it was great. Okay, question number 2 is, what were the lowlights? What were the hard parts of what happened for you in 2024? I want you to really think about that, because it's great to look at all the positive, and I'm all about looking at the positive and really not looking back too much about the negative side of things, because the negative side of things is really, or the hard parts is really the growth, and it's really feedback about what's happening. So I tend to utilise that for that, but I don't dwell on it. And the thing here is, even though we're going to go back and look at some hard parts from last year, I don't want you to dwell on them. We just want to look at yep, that happened, and then we can work through how to turn that into a positive in the sense of what the lessons that we got from that. But for now, let's work through the hard parts. So I can tell you, a couple of really hard parts for me last year was I really, really struggled with sleep. Because I was still doing a lot of golf tours, I found that, you know, I have to be in performance mode. Like when you're coaching and you're especially away and you're entertaining people at night and you're also out on the course with them during the day, it's hard to really settle down and get into like a really good relaxed state. I found that really hard because I always find like that kind of stuff, I'm in performance in the sense of almost like a competition mode. I have to perform and be at my best, you know. And so I really found it really difficult to settle. Also, you know, I'm 54, so I'm going through menopause now, and you know, I found like, you know, my hormone levels were, you know, sort of a little bit all over the place. Not extreme. I don't go through the huge extremes that I've heard that other women have gone through, but just enough to keep me a little bit unsettled, especially at night. So I was really struggling with that. And so I had to work out ways in which how I was going to manage that better so that I could, you know, perform better and get through that. And, you know, there's ways that we can do that in nutrition. There's ways we can do that, obviously, in better self-care and ways in which we can work on, you know, settling ourselves down. So, but that was a really tough part to deal with, I found, last year for me. But that was probably the hardest part was, you know, understanding that, you know what, my body's starting to change. It's going into the next phase of its life, you know, and so therefore, you know, I have to like work with what's going on with my body rather than fighting it. It's like, okay, it's, you know, they're going through hormonal changes. It's doing what it's got to do now in this stage of its life. And so I have to adapt to that and not keep doing what I was doing before, hoping that, you know, I was going to get a different result, because the result wasn't a very good one. It was time to make some changes. So yeah, but like I said, it was, you know, it was a bit of a tough one from a energy and sleep point of view, because I was always really exhausted. But it was a good learning process. Question number 3: what did you learn about yourself for 2024? What was it that you learnt? So I've just been sharing with you some things about the highlights and the lowlights in my life, and you've obviously now you're going to be working through very shortly your highlights and lowlights. So what we want to do in question 3 is really figure out now what are the lessons that you learned throughout 2024. I'm going to share a few of mine so that you have an idea of what you could be working on, and really delve deep into what the lessons that you actually learned for 2024. So probably the number one lesson that I learned out of 2024 was creating of space. So I made the decision in 2023, the end of 2023, to take some time off from coaching full time, simply because I was absolutely burnt out. I was so exhausted mentally. I was so exhausted emotionally. My husband had been, you know, through the ringer and back, through heart operations and, you know, a lot of health issues and so on throughout the previous 2 years. And I found it really, really difficult to maintain a high level of work, working, you know, teaching full time and also going on golf tours. Something had to give. And the thing that I was really worried about was I was actually going to have a breakdown, to be honest, because I was just so drained. You know, I didn't feel like I was being able to give the best to my clients that I could give, and I didn't think it was fair on them, and I thought it was time to step away and create space in my life and have a break, and so that I could figure out what it was that I wanted to do moving forward after that. So the best decision that I made last year was to create space in my life so I could open up space and discover new things. That was a really, really powerful move. Number 2 lesson that I learnt was letting go. So I've been through a process really since I was about 50. Had a massive breakdown when I was 50, about turning 50, because I felt like I hadn't achieved the goals that I wanted to achieve. And then so I have been on this process of letting go, and I found that last year was a really good, again, process to work through in letting go of not worrying about what the future had for me, It was letting go of like all the pressure of financial pressure, all the pressure of working, and creating that space. So in making that decision to let go and just allow things to just flow and happen, wow, I discovered some great things out of that. Like I said, I was introduced to a new sport which I never thought I'd be playing, at least for another 20 years anyway, and I'm absolutely in love with the sport, and I love the challenge of it. I love the accuracy of it. I love the strategy around it, and working with a team and working on your own. It's for me, it's absolutely magical, and building really good friendships at the club that I'm at. It's been an incredible thing. So letting go was a massive move for me, but in a positive sense, it was so fantastic because I created space and I allowed things to come to me, and wow, what a journey that's been. Third lesson I learnt was making time for self-care. So as I was talking about before, was that I was not giving myself the love that I needed to give myself throughout that time, when I was working full time, and then I was going on golf tours as well, and then my husband was not well, and trying to manage him, trying to manage the house, trying to manage our family life, trying to manage my business and everything. I found it really, really tough. So it was really important that last year too was really about giving me some time to really manage me and give me that care, that mental care, that emotional care, that physical care, that space that I needed to give myself, so that I could just, one, was recover, and two, just create that space and figure out what it was and what it is that I wanted to do moving forward. So that was a really, really good move, and a great lesson that I learnt from that I can keep doing moving forward. And the fourth lesson that I've learnt, it's only 4, is discovery. A lot of discovery. I discovered that I could play a new sport, and I could actually get to the top of the tree at this sport, right? So I'm so excited about lawn bowls, is because I'm going right to the top. I'm going to go and compete in the Commonwealth Games. That's a big goal. I'm going to compete in the Australian Open this year. That's a big goal. And anything else that comes along that I'm not aware of that will open up for me as I go along, I'm going for that as well. So I can't wait to really get into the competitions and and bring out the best performance in me. The big thing too, like from a discovery point of view, was discovering that I could build friendships again, and discovering that I could just be me. Big thing I really struggled with was being Tiff, the lady golf teacher, all the time, and I just felt like that was, and again, it's all perception, isn't it? But it was this feeling that I had hanging over the top of me that that's who I was. I was just the lady golf teacher, and I was nothing else. And I actually discovered that it's okay, to let all of that go, and it's okay just to be me. And the exciting thing for me is, like, by taking up a new sport, I felt like I didn't have any identity that I had to be being there. I could just be Tiff, like I was Tiff when I was a kid. I could just rock up to like I did when I was a tennis player, and when I was a kid pursuing my tennis dream, and I just rock up to the tennis courts and practice. I feel like I can do that here when I go to the local bowling club that I'm a member at, is that I can just rock up there and just be me, and I can have a joke with the guys and go and have a practice and just really enjoy the process. And that's been a great, great discovery of me, because I've really discovered what I've really missed out on in such a long time, because all I've been focused on is working, achieving, and not giving myself that space that I needed to explore what life was really about. Because I don't want the next 50 years of my life to be like the previous 50, in the sense of just go hard and that's it. I want to enjoy my life along the way. I want to enjoy the journey. I want to create some exciting things in my life, which I feel like that I've missed out on for so long, because I was in a different mindset. So it's a great lesson to learn of all this discovery that I've learnt along the way from last year of creating space, giving myself some time for recovery, having that self-care, letting go, building new friendships, spending more time with family, going on camping trips, just having a really exciting time in life. So that's been some really huge lessons for me. Question number 4, what am I going to stop doing? So what you want to be looking at, so from those lessons that you've learnt from last year and the highlights and the lowlights that you experienced from last year, what is it that you're going to stop doing? I'm going to share with you some of mine. So a big thing I'm going to stop doing is working so hard. And what I mean is like just being so driven that nothing else matters and achieve. What I'm focused on is working more strategically, right? More like smarter, not working harder. I've done the hard work. I've spent my whole life working hard. As a tennis player, I worked my butt off. As an entrepreneur, I've worked my butt off in the sense I've had a tennis coaching business, I had a sports skills business, and I've had a golf coaching business, and I've absolutely worked my butt off really, really hard. And from a training perspective, absolutely worked so hard. And I just don't want to approach my next 50 years that way, and especially this year. So because of all the learnings that I've learnt from last year, I don't want to be driving and burning a candle at both ends. I've been there, I've done that. I don't want to keep doing that. So that's definitely one of the things we're going to stop doing for 2025. Question number 5. What do I need to start doing? So, are there some things that you wanted to start doing but you didn't get the opportunity to do that? Especially what you've identified through your highlights and your lowlights and your lessons learned thus far. What do you need to start doing, do you think? So I'm going to share a few of mine with you, and then you can get on and start working on yours. So I've got a few things. Big thing that I learnt from last year, and it was really another lesson, was just to have fun. I'd forgotten what it was like to have fun in life, because I was so driven. I've got to work, achieve, and just do the best that I can for everybody else. And then I was completely spent, completely burnt out. My cup was not empty, it was non-existent, right? I had nothing left to give. And simply because I had drained myself so much that I didn't have that energy to have any fun. And the big thing that I learnt last year too was to have fun. So of course, what am I going to do this year? I'm going to have more fun as well. Now I want to achieve really high in lawn bowls. So, I'm going to make sure that I'm going to train my little pants off and achieve what I want to achieve in that. So I've planned out my nutrition, I've planned out my training program, fitness training program, I've planned out my bowls practice program of what I want to do so that I can achieve all these big goals that I've set for this year. So I'm really, really excited about that. I also want to make sure that Ambition Habits is really out there helping you accomplish your goals in your sport. So it's building confidence in you so that you know how to achieve those goals mentally. You're also looking after your body physically and also nutritionally so that we can make sure that you're out there getting the best out of you so that you're accomplishing those big dreams in your sport, whatever they may be. I'm looking forward to hearing what they are, by the way. I want to make sure too, I wanted to really write a song last year on the guitar, didn't get to it, and so I want to make sure that I'm going to put myself in a position where I'm going to be practicing my guitar, relearning the piano again. I want to get back into character drawing. I started to do that in COVID, and so that's been a few years now since that happened, and I want to make sure that I'm doing that and just being creative. I love to be creative, and I've forgotten how exciting it is to learn something new and be creative and just let yourself expand and evolve, and so I'm going to start doing a lot more of that. Question number 6. What is it that I'm going to continue to be doing? So what are you going to be continuing to be doing because whatever you were doing last year and you got some great lessons out of that and that was working really well, what do you think you should be continuing to be focused on throughout 2025? I'm going to share a few of mine with you, and then you can get into your answering that question for you. Big thing for me is to make sure that I'm looking after my body better. So I'm, pretty good, looking after my body, physically, but nutritionally, I wasn't as probably as focused as I really feel like I should have been. Just a little bit more relaxed about the food I ate. My husband loves chocolates and lollies, so I'd have the extra chocolate and lolly and all of that sort of stuff after dinner, and and like over time when you do that, especially when you're non-aware, you're sitting there at the TV chomping away at some chocolates and some lollies and so on, you start to put on a bit of weight, so. And that's what was happening. I was starting to notice I was just, my clothes were starting to feel a bit tighter and so on over Christmas. And I was like, oh, what happened there? So I want to make sure that I'm looking after my body better. So even though I train, and I've been really working on really good parts in my training regime, like building strength, building stability and mobility in my body, especially as my body gets older, you've got to make sure I'm really looking after it. What I really noticed though was I was getting a bit slack nutritionally. So even in the last week, I've made the decision, right, it's time to start losing some weight and trimming down. And, I've done that already, which has been amazing, like just staying focused. So I've been going through a protein pacing regime, which I can share with you in later episodes. But it's made a huge difference, already dropped 3 kilos, which I was pleasantly excited about, so I'm happy to share that one with you. But I want to make sure that the big focus is to continue to build ambition habits in the direction where I want it to go, really look after myself mentally, emotionally, physically, nutritionally, so that I can get out there and enjoy life and accomplish my goals as well. So that's a big thing that I want to make sure that I continue to do. Question number 7 is, what can I do today that's going to help me make that first step in going in that direction where I want to go? What's the first step that you could do? I can tell you, it's actually answering these questions is the first step, is getting those questions answered so that you've cleared the path, you've finished the chapter of 2024, you're no longer holding on to it, you've learnt your lessons from it, you know what your highlights were, you know what your lowlights were, you know what you want to start doing, you know what you want to stop doing, and you know what you want to continue to be working on, so that you can then go, right, I'm ready to go, and then I'm ready to tackle 2025 and start setting those goals for 2025. So that's what you want to be doing for question 7. I can guarantee you that one. So I really hope you enjoyed today's episode. I'd love it if you could share with me what you liked about what you heard in this episode. That'd be absolutely awesome. And if you are looking in ways in which to build your confidence, I've got a 3-step process on how to break through the barrier so that you can accomplish your goals and your dreams in your sport and in your life. If you just go to my website, tiffany-micah.com, you'll actually see right at the top of the page there, breaking through the barrier, the 3 steps to building self-confidence. And you just click through that, and I've got some video content there for you on how you can do that, and a nice little PDF download for you. So I hope you, and I look forward to seeing you there, downloading that and building that confidence. And I'd love to hear what your highlights were for 2024 and what you learnt about this reflection process. So enjoy, and big thing I want you to do right now is dream big, believe in you, go after your dreams. Have an absolutely awesome day. Look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Bye for now.